This is Surviving Survivor.
Hello and welcome back to Surviving Survivor. After a few really exciting episodes where we had a lot of guests, we figured let's just bring it back to the OG3 this week.
Let's be boring.
Exactly, yeah. Compared to a very non-boring episode.
Yeah.
I'm Jack Reiser, joined alongside Emily McGlynn and Abby Tarpey. Thank you guys for talking to me as always.
I'm paid to be here. Yeah. Anyway.
It's also Emily's birthday when we're recording this, so
See,
shout
this is
out
how
Emily.
dedicated I am, guys.
Yeah.
This is how dedicated I am. But I will say this was not the Survivor episode for me to watch because I watched today, Thursday, October 9th. And you know how some people cry on their birthdays for whatever reason? I cried today because of Survivor, not because of anything else. This was a roller coaster episode for me. I don't know about you guys if you felt that extreme or passionate about it, but I certainly did.
Well, then take us through. What were you feeling? What were you thinking?
What was I feeling? Well, if we want to talk just emotional stuff first, and then we can get. Jack was saying earlier that there was not a lot of strategy in this episode. I respectfully disagree, but we can talk about it. But first and foremost, we see Jake get bitten by a venomous snake. Thank God it was a dry bite, which is usually what happens majority of the time with these kinds of snakes. He gets bitten by a snake, and the doctor's like, yeah, I would not put him back into the game. He's been through a traumatizing event, has had barely any water, barely any food, has gone through psychological and physical stress. He just can't do it. And I totally felt for him because he breaks down thinking oh my gosh, I've been waiting so long to have this opportunity. I put my firstborn child's having that experience on the line, and also my father about to lose his vision, putting that on the line. There was just so much pressure, and he was doing so well. Even though we were starting to hate on him a little bit or be a little bit harder on him, I felt I wanted to see more from him, especially the dynamic between him, Sophie, and Alex. I wanted to see that push and pull a little bit more. So yeah, and then I felt terrible when Jeff is explaining the whole situation in front of everybody, and that is how the Blue Tribe finds out. So I kind of let's start here because I feel like that's controversy online right now. Should he have pulled them aside first before the challenge, or do you think it was appropriate for everyone to learn at that same time and process and do all of that?
I didn't mind him telling everybody at the same time. I did think it was I'm happy just as a viewer. I didn't need to see the same thing be told to me 4 times in a row. So I understand that's another reason why they condensed it. And I think because at the end of the day, this is a reality TV show, they want to have those juicy moments. And so they want to get everybody's reaction to this. And I think they also were aware that after spending 10 minutes fully just focused on Jake and watching all of the very minute details of what's going on, to then go back to camp and tell one tribe and then go back and tell 2 other tribes would have been very redundant. And I think it would have lost some of what they were trying to get with that moment of having all of 3 tribes have that emotional reaction together. So I think that they made the right decision by a viewer standpoint. From the player standpoint, I could understand wanting a little bit of a heads up before realizing that you're going from 5 to 3 and now about to do this challenge and having no time to really process anything or prepare, and being told he's gone, then be very sad, and now you're going to do this big long challenge. So I get from the viewer's side a little bit of happiness that they did it that way, because I wouldn't have wanted to see all of it. But if I was a player, I definitely would have been a bit peeved.
Something else I wanted to bring up And I'm shocked that we have gone 49 seasons and, more than 2 decades of seeing this for the first time. But like we saw base camp for the first time, which I thought was so cool. And I know we sent memes in our group chat, but also I just saw it on Twitter of people being like, I don't think I've ever seen a Jeff confessional, or Jeff got more confessionals than some of the players that day. But also, I really enjoyed learning about the more behind the scenes of like production and how they talk and interact with the players. So, like the producer checking on Jake, Alex talking about how they're given a book of the things that they can and cannot eat, animals they should be looking out for. And it just so happens that one of the snakes that they're told, like, hey, look out for this guy, just goes and bites Jake and tells him to be like, hey, go away. This is my turf. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really cool. But those were like my overall thoughts about that moment in particular. I don't know if you guys have anything else to say.
I agree with your outlook that it's like it's really cool that we got some of it. I do wish it was handled a bit differently, at least in the flow of the show, because it felt like sort of like how in the Barbie movie they're telling you what's happening to like make you understand the history of the doll in the context of the plot, which in that it works because it's a narrative, satirical, lighthearted, like technically children's like family movie. With this, they were doing that with a serious, like amped up emotional moment, which in my opinion removes the emotion from it. So it wasn't, no one has said like, oh, while I was watching it, I was so scared of what's going to happen. And I could feel like what they felt on the island in the way that we did with Scoopin or with Caleb's injuries. Cause that's kind of like, this is now like probably the other one in the top three, like survivor mishaps that have happened. With those, you're like following along. With Caleb's, they showed it's similar. They showed like the behind the scenes by seeing some of the cameras, not nearly the extent of this one. I just wish it was edited in the same way where it's, I agree, we got that base camp reveal. We got about the book that he pulled because Alex is a really good narrator and explained things really well. But Jeff being shown so much and explaining what's happening when he shows up on camp, what's happening again, the exact same thing when he's taking Jake, once he's gotten to base camp, and then in a rehashed confessional at the end, and then again at tribal was a little repetitive to me, and it felt like it was diminishing the moment by him overemphasizing that it was a moment compared to letting it breathe and just showing like this is Jake, this is his genuine emotions and like what we're watching and kind of like the humanity side of Survivor.
For sure, I agree. I think, I mean, perfect example, like you said, is that Caleb evac, where Jeff is a total badass in that moment. He is like, we need waters here, we need an umbrella here, we need this, we need the chopper. And he's very much like, this is a big problem that he has to take care of. And we get the behind the scenes. It's so real. It's authentic what Jeff's doing, what everyone's doing. Here, he's interviewing the doctor when they're like taking blood tests and giving him air. But yes, I agree. I agree with what Abby was saying completely. But again, I also do think it was really interesting how we did get to see some of that behind the scenes stuff that we haven't gotten to see. And while it was unfortunate that Jake got pulled, I also think that was definitely the right decision. I don't think you should get bitten by a snake and then be like, it was a dry bite, he's okay. Because there's still so many different aspects that, like, you need to make sure that he's definitely fully good.
That's part of where I found the edit irritating as well, was that because of how dumbed down the repetitive pieces of information were in the sense that it made it feel very mundane of like, Jake just got bit by a snake, guys. Do you know what a snake is? Like very simplified versions, which a lot of us need. On his On Fire podcast, I was reading reviews of it and like transcripts, or a lot of times I listened to it, and he was explaining that Jake then got moved to a hospital in Australia and he was watched because there's no way to know if it was a poisonous bite or not based on his reaction. They were assuming it was, but it's like he needed to be monitored to confirm that it wasn't poisonous. And while all of those details of how production actually works is meant for something like the On Fire podcast and not meant to be seen in the show because we're all watching the show to watch the show that's being produced. I feel like that line of kind of what should be explained in plot and what should be explained after the fact might be getting a little muddled sometimes with things like this because you could see the base camp and you could see the book and I feel like those are great details. Him then again me just kind of bashing on how much explanation we got, him saying what Jack said of he needs to be removed. The only reasons given in the show are vitals and unfairness diminishes the fact that it's like this was a life or death threat and situation that he was not able to find a doctor in base camp, not able that was familiar with sea crates, not able to find one in the country, and had to be flown to a different country to get one who specializes in it. That's significantly more interesting and threatening than how it was portrayed, I feel.
Honestly, I didn't even think about any of this because I was still so shocked by what happened. But I think you guys are so right. It's kind of beating a dead horse because we've said it here on the podcast multiple times, so I don't mind repeating it again. But like the last couple of seasons have been not snooze fests, but like the only interesting parts about them have been the weird twists and turns and many Survivor fans getting frustrated or annoyed or upset by like, okay, can they just like play the game? And so now that they finally have like a juicy plot turner, I don't know, they kind of just took it and ran with it. So I just hope that obviously Jake is doing okay now. And, I'm excited to see what happens now between Sophie and Alex now that they're moving forward. If you guys want to skip ahead a little bit to that, and then we can backtrack with the other tribes. But I think it makes sense to talk about Jeremiah a little
Yeah,
bit.
Yeah,
I
just to
think
like finish with the Jake thing as well, I do want to be clear that I think all of our negative opinions or commentary opinions are purely on the edit on how it portrays Jake's situation, where obviously taking the entertainment value is like months later, audience members who know that he's okay and fine. That's like a very scary situation. I wish that that edit put the situation he went through in the strongest light where it makes him the character or the hero or the antagonist the one dealing with the situation in a show not telling way compared to last season and especially this season. I still feel like their editors had to have switched or a story producer changed where now it's telling you what's happening and trying to force you into a certain narrative. And this episode, I feel like the narrative was given to Jeff as the hero that came on in the boat who needs to explain to the audience what's happening, whereas I really wish that Jake just kind of got to live authentically in his episode, which I feel like is clear, but just in case.
Going into and kind of as a segue situation into the whole Jeremiah boot, I think this is episode is another perfect example of why we should stop with the three tribes every single season because it's gotten to the point where I did not care. It was so insanely obvious that it was Jeremiah going home because when you have a tribe of four people and you lose the main character of that four, like he was the person who had the most connections to everyone. He was Sophie's number one. He was Alex's number one. No matter what would have happened in my mind this episode, I'm pretty sure Jeremiah would have gone because I don't see Jake's flop moving to Alex, and I don't see Sophie betraying Jake. So I think that in a situation where there's so little opportunity for anything to happen, and you still introduce idols and advantages that are in the game, it makes it so that episodes like this, if we didn't have this Jake moment, I would not have remembered this episode tomorrow. Was it impressive that Sophie was able to make it so that she didn't get any votes?
We're an early pre-merge tribal. I feel like she has played the game that a lot of finalists end up playing because no one else, she's been to 3 tribal councils. Half of the over half of the cast hasn't been to one, and we're 3 weeks in. So immediately she's playing significantly more game. Depending on how the tribe swap goes, she could end up in a Denise situation where she goes to every single tribal. She seems like she's playing very similarly to how Dee played, where she has a quiet, well-structured, well-managed game. Dee's was successful, maybe hers gets fumbled at some point, but her strategy isn't that different to other players. I do feel like the 40s have kind of emphasized that you need to have like Tony style huge moves, and that's just not physically possible in a lot of survivor situations. But on the strategy coming from both the structure from producers of, I agree, it's like you don't want to be seeing the same people over and over because there are two other tribes that we don't know what's going on and you don't actually get to see them play, mixed in with my personal the edit of it should have been a Jake centric episode that should have had a lot more in the beginning, had him go out in the middle, and then had a very short ending. But because now we have 90-minute episodes, which wasn't true for the previous two significant health situations, they have to fill the remaining 30 minutes somehow.
I completely agree with you. I mean, because the last time with the Caleb situation, the person who went home that episode was Alicia, who, and I think that there was maybe 5 minutes of talk before they went to tribal because it was so obvious she was going home. I don't think I just think it was so obvious Jeremiah was going home. I would have been so insanely surprised in a situation because I think Sophie played the best she could, but I also think Sophie would have been dumb to risk possibly going out if she voted for Alex. Because if Alex played an idol, that's it. Her game's done. So I do think even with that risk, I think she made the absolute best decision for her game. So I just didn't see a world where she would risk it for Jeremiah of all people because even with the edit, we didn't really see them as like super close. It was always Sophie and Jake who were really close.
Which is inherently good strategy and very
Yeah.
smart on her part. And I assume slash hope she'll make it farther. I do agree with what I think kind of the root of your initial point is, though, where I would love if in future seasons we returned to tribe structures because the fault of the disaster tribe is that we know so much about these people or characters or however you want to personify them who are going out very quickly. Like we've had so much content on Jake and he's the shoe bandit and he's this big macho guy and he's a challenge beast even though he never won a challenge, but he's going to do so well and then he gets medevaced instantly. So you have a personality building in the story that's then dropped, and that's happened to every single person so far because we've only seen one tribe go to tribal. That merge is basically going, depending on how the tribe swap goes next episode based on the preview. The merge could be like whole new cast because of the way that it's inherently structured.
So like both tribes found their beware advantages this episode. And when it came to Rizzo, he told the entire tribe because it's the Vibes tribe and they haven't needed to go to tribal. And they're setting up this was the Vibes tribe. We're chill. Nothing's really going wrong. And so it's not, I don't really have any thoughts about Rizzo telling everybody because like we haven't seen them have to scramble. Same with MC. And MC and Steven have this apparently close bond that we're just finding out about kind of right now. But what's gonna happen with this? Does she trust Sophie? Is she gonna work with Matt? There's so much strategy talk that we haven't been able to see because of the fact that we've stuck with the same tribe.
Maybe I'm dumb, or maybe I was watching this episode kind of half asleep, which I low key was. But I was actually so uncertain watching the tribal council because yes, Sophie and Jeremiah didn't make their relationship that prominent again because Jake was kind of the center of that tribe naturally but also editorially. But like I was like, I don't know, maybe there's a chance that Alex is actually potentially dumb enough to not play his idol, but my intuition was like, oh, like if you were a good player, like you would play it. But I don't know what's going to happen now between Alex and Sophie because I was really hoping for the conversation that they're going to be like, hey, at least one of them was going to say to one another, like, hey, I was Jake's number one, or I wanted to be Jake's number one because he was mine. And now that he's gone, then how about we band forces and do something with this? Because clearly we think alike. So let's work together. That never really happened, which I thought was kind of strange. I thought that would have been really smart. But again, like, I'm not in their situation, so I don't know why they, made the choices that they did. But something that I want to point out here and that I think is really, really smart is Sophie, of course, lied to Jeremiah, but she low-key lied to Alex because she said, I'm the most loyal bitch you know. I've been to the same nail technician. I'm friends with the same people. I have had the same boyfriend. I'm going to get married to him, da 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 da. But then she goes to Jeremiah and is like, oh, no, no, it's us. Like, we need to get him out. We need to get him out. Like, you're my number one now. Da 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 da. And yet she's going and talking all this crap about Alex. And then at the end of the day, who does she vote out? Who is her number one? Jeremiah. And you know what? Does Alex even know about it? Nope. And is he ever going to know? Maybe I'll make an ass out of myself now. I don't think so. I'm going to make that prediction. But speaking of predictions, I said,
I mean, just to go against you real quick, I don't think he would have
go
played his
ahead.
idol if he. I don't think he would have played his idol if he didn't kind of suspect she was not loyal to him completely. And like you said yesterday, because I think what you said was the smartest of like, since she voted with him and he played his idol, she can now use it as like, oh, so you didn't trust me. Why didn't you not trust me? And now she kind of has the upper hand, which I think is really smart on her case.
From what I said during the cast review, I said I think Sophie is going to go unnoticed. And right now we're kind of in this good area, or she's in this good area right now where, from our understanding right now, that what she has done has gone unnoticed. And I hope she really takes that and rides with it. Now I want to move on
I
to the
think she's
red
now in the
tribe.
best position. I do think that her
Yes.
and I think because I believe her and Alex are not on the same tribe right now. And if that is the case, then they're the power players because it's now clearly red versus yellow.
Now I want to talk about the red tribe a little bit more, because we're now seeing a little bit of a push and pull in between Sage, Shannon, and Savannah. And I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm going to kind of spitball for a second, so feel free to interrupt me. But I think Sage was so valid to point out an observation. For her maybe to go to Shannon, maybe it was a little, I don't know what the best adjective to describe it is. I don't think it was smart because if you're observing that, Savannah and Rizzo are tight, how are you not picking up on Nate and Shannon kind of being a four? But again, like, that's because, we're an advantage as an audience and we don't know what it's like there on the island. But Sage goes to Shannon and is like, "Hey, I'm making this observation and I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe because she's feeling a little bit left out, paranoid, I don't know what it is." But of course Shannon goes and tells Savannah what happens. And Savannah, girl, I'm on your side because you're a reporter. I get you. Like, she reacted in a very big way. And it was like, nope, we're not doing this. How dare you? Da 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 da. And we only saw that in the confessional, so I don't know what she was like with her alliances. But I thought that was really interesting how strong she was of like, nuh-uh, we're not doing this. And she's been kind of going back and forth with Sage anyway of like, oh, she's the first boot. Oh, she did this for us. Okay, I like her. Then maybe it'll be Joanne that's the first out. I don't know what's going on. But I wanted to know how you guys feel now with that kind of dynamic going on now, and Savannah really showing that she's like grinding this into the ground, that like she's going to be around for a while.
I'm just excited to see how it pans out once the tribe swap and we actually get to see more of them. So I didn't have too many feelings knowing that the tribes would change up because I was just intrigued what it would actually become. Kind of like a seed versus the final like plant and kind of seeing what it turns into.
We saw on. I think it was really dumb on Sage's part for the sole reason that we got more info after the episode because of what Savannah posted. But if I hadn't, I just think the editing again piss poor when it comes to explaining these things. Because apparently the main trio that Savannah was faking going with was Savannah, Sage, and Shannon. And if that's your three, then that was the only three Sage was a part of. And so for Sage to then go from to one member of her quote unquote alliance and say that the other one's shady, it was instantly going to come back. I think that the fact that she spent her first confessional saying nobody's really talking to me, does that mean it's me? And then going to Jawan and Jawan saying the same thing, that would make me think, okay, cool, then you're the person who I need to work with right now. But I also think since they're not going to tribal, it doesn't matter. Like, she doesn't need to scramble. Savannah can say all of the things she wants to say, but there's still a major chance that she still wants to get Juwan out, and we don't know because they haven't even had to have those main conversations. And that's where I agree with Abby. I kind of just forgot about it after the fact. We'll see if that ends up being a problem for her when they do split up right now. I don't know exactly where Sage is and who she's with, but that could be an easy option. But I do think that now it's going to be so much Hina versus Uli that it's not going to really matter if Shannon and Savannah don't fully trust Sage, because I think they're going to use Sage as a number to get out one of the yellows.
I low key wish that moving forward, it's actually just red and yellow. Like, let's freaking duke it out. Let's put Alex on one team, let's put Sophie on another team, and let's freaking duke it out. These guys hate each other. Who's the best of the best? And then finally get those people out and then just go to war in that merge. Like, I really hope they do that. Yes, would a tribe swap be very interesting? 100%. 100%. But like, I don't know. I think this is too good of a storyline right
Maybe
now
the
to.
survivor gods make it happen again. Was it Edge of Extinction in which they did a tribe swap and the entire tribe stayed intact?
They've done it before, I don't remember which season. It would inherently put the remaining blue members at a disadvantage because they would
Oh
just be
yeah.
automatically voted out, so it wouldn't happen. But I would be intrigued if it did happen, what it would look like.
I'm curious though who the other tribes view as the biggest target when it comes to like who they're going to go and how they're going to get each other out, because I think we saw in the like next time on somebody bringing up Matt being a little shady, and I'm curious if they're going to look. When I was watching the episode with Abby, Abby was like, "Why is Jason doing so well in these puzzles? He's going to be such a threat as soon as they make it to the merge." So I'm curious if they're looking at Jason as this big threat. Kind of who does Yellow see as a problem? So yeah, I'm interested. I think this is where the season will get going because now it's two tribes. Half of the cast that's left is going to tribal.
I have nothing but kudos for the Yellow Tribe. I freaking love MC. I freaking love Jason. And y'all made fun of me. I was like, I love this king. Give me Jason. And he's getting his hair braided. And he's just like, let's work together. Let's do this thing. I just love him so much. And I love MC's relationship with Steven. I wasn't really expecting that, but I fully support it.
That's my favorite duo this season. They're so cute because I love Steven. I wanted MC. I did not get MC. But she's such a badass, and I love how much people are loving her.
Meme time.
Meme of the week. All right,
Miss
Abby, do you want to go
McGlynn on your
first?
special day. Well, no, on Miss McGlynn's special day.
She should go last.
Should she be
Let
first
her
or for
run it out.
last?
I
What
don't
does she
know.
want?
Whatever you guys want.
No, this is Miss McGlinny Day. Girl in middle.
Okay. I saw a lot of great memes this week. I will say my honorable mention for right now, but Rip Shoe
Go.
Bandit. Rip Shoe Bandit. You know, it's funny that we were talking so much about Jake's edit this episode, but my meme is Jeff while Jake is being rushed to the base camp, and it's from Scary
Mm-hmm.
Movie, whatever. That is
Mm-hmm.
my favorite for sure. And
That
I
was
don't know
definitely
why I
funny.
didn't put two and two together when I saw it, but that is my meme of the week.
Period. I will follow that up with something similar,
Okay,
which
cool.
is Jeff saw that the Pit won Emmys and now wants to make this episode like an episode of the Pit. Which isn't quite a meme, but I just thought it was a funny comment that I agreed with based on the fact I talked about it for 20 minutes.
And then my meme is the secret, and it says taking out the biggest physical threat and most well-connected player in the game, then slipping back under the radar. Player of the episode for sure. And then the top comment after is a potential fishy question mark. And what that is Stephen Fishback gives the best player of the week award each week, and it's called the Fishy Award. So I thought that that was the best meme of the week. Very close second, though. I agree, is the meme of how ironic it is that he got bitten by the in the foot and he's the shoe bandit.
Now, maybe if he was wearing shoes.
True.
Oh, ooh.
All
But
right.
we are
Well,
glad that he is safe. And the really
yes.
sweet card at the end that said he made it back in time for his daughter's or his son's his child's birth.
I
So
choked
it
up. I
Yeah.
choked up.
was very sweet.
Well, that was the end of this week's episode, but thank you guys so much for listening. Happy birthday, Emily, and
Oh, thank you.
not happy birthday to
Thank you.
Abby, but thank you, Abby, for coming.
I'm always happy to celebrate Emily.
Oh, thank you. Let us know in the comments how you guys feel about all of this, because I know we were kind of like all over the place today, but I think this was a very good conversation. I thought it was good.
Yeah, me as well. And then stay tuned next week because we have a new episode of Survivor and a new episode of Surviving Survivor called Go Kick Rocks, Bro. So I'm interested to see who says that. What does that mean? Will we get some
Oh my
fighting?
gosh.
Well, stay tuned.
That's too good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you all
Thanks for
next
listening.
week. Bye.